More than 80% of Australians are concerned about the impact of climate change and what it is having on extreme heat waves, droughts and bushfires. That's according to a new report by the Australia Institute. It found the majority of people want the government to take action. Joining me now is Richie Merzian from the Australian Institute. Richie, thanks so much for your time. This is not a great surprise, but the political debate has shifted, hasn't it?
Well, what was surprising in this report, and this report's been going on since 2007, is the increased concern and the impacts happening now, the felt experience of climate change. So 4 in 5 Australians are saying that they're feeling the impacts of climate change now, and that's across the board, be it droughts, bushfires or water shortages. And that's what's driving this concern. And that concern is also that governments are not responding sufficiently to both the cause of climate change, but to deal with these impacts as well.
All these polls historically have shown that people really do want action on climate change. But when you talk about the cost, the personal cost to them, things change. Is that what you found in your research?
Yeah, so there's many things that sort of drive whether these results actually feed into the politics or political decisions, but there's different ways to look at it. So one thing that jumped out at us at this research is that the coal mining sector, there's this overestimation around the role of coal in the economy, that people get the number of jobs in coal mining wrong by a factor of 23. They overestimate it 23 times larger than what it actually is. The income from coal mining 6 times larger. So coal has this large shadow that it casts over the economy, and that affects how people see that trade-off between taking action to address the largest pollutant, being coal, versus actually sort of moving forward.
But both sides of politics seem to have admitted, at least in the last election, that there is a cost to moving to renewables. It might be short-term, and I'm talking about the monetary cost, the cost of the household budget. Do you find that people do want action on climate change, but they don't want it to come out of their own wallets?
Yeah, it's interesting to see how people reflect on the actual costs. We looked at electricity prices in particular, and most people blame electricity companies for profiteering and for privatisation and federal government policy uncertainty as to why electricity costs so much. And when you look at the cheapest form of new generation, it's renewables. So it's interesting that you could both tick the box of taking climate action and also lowering electricity prices. What's missing, though, is an actual government plan on climate and energy to help make that transition forward. So while there are some costs that are quite high, there's some that are mutually beneficial, and the electricity sector is definitely one example.